Now let's move on to what I call the golden age, and many people would agree, I think, the Breaking years, the two films, and the subsequent activity after that. How did you go from being involved in the documentary Breaking and Entering, local performances, and etc., to winning the role that everybody knows you as, Turbo, in the film Breaking?
Well, it was really, it was just really a progression. Everything was happening so fast. The dance style was gaining momentum around the world, and we were already in the industry. So there were a lot of people street dancing, but there weren't a lot of people dancing in Hollywood. I mean, street dancing in Hollywood or employed. So after doing Breaking and Entering, then came the music videos. MTV had just come out with music television, which was another vehicle for us to get work. And so I was featured in Lionel Richie's video All Night Long.
Now, let me stop you right here just for a second. You've mentioned that in several interviews, but I've never heard the story about how you made it to Lionel Richie's video.
Well, right after, while Breaking and Entering was filmed as a documentary, we just would hear. We didn't really have agents at the time. We just, through hearsay, what happened was Shabba-Doo was in the business, and there were other dancers who did have agents. And when they heard about an audition, they just called us up and said, "Hey, you guys want to go?" So we were just scratching each other's back then, and we would get tips on an audition that was coming up. And so I just remember, it was one of those calls like, "Hey, they're having this audition for Lionel Richie's All Night Long video." So I went over there. I auditioned and I got it. And what was really easy for us to get work back then, the reason why it was easy for us to get work, we were like some of the best dancers back then. I mean, we went in, we were groomed as professionals. Shabba-Doo, I have to give it to him. Shabba-Doo told us something that really raised the bar as far as our dancing. He said, "You know what? Instead of dancing at these clubs and instead of battling, you should get paid for it." We're like, "What?" He goes, "Instead of giving it away for free, you should get paid for it." He goes, "That's what I do." And we had this new consciousness. Instead of just battling and dancing for bragging rights, we were dancing to get paid. And so that if you notice some of the wardrobe that I'm wearing in Breaking and Entering, a lot of that stuff I had accumulated while we were touring with Lionel Richie.
I see.
So Breaking and Entering and the All Night Long video, they came out around the same time. That was 1983. So I went from one job to the next.
Okay, so you were involved in this video with Lionel Richie, and then what, you heard of an open audition for the movie Breaking, or did the Breaking producers approach you? How did that happen?
Oh no! After doing the Lionel Richie All Night Long video, there was another video called Norma Kamali Street Beat, and it was a fashion video, and it got a buzz in the industry that, oh, wait a minute, these guys, they're already known. And so when the producers of the movie, when they set out to find the hottest dancers, the producer, David Zito, he told me years later, he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "When we were considering the role for Turbo," he goes, "I wanted to put the best dancers that we could find out there on film." And he goes, I asked people all around town, in Hollywood, of course, who they know, and they said, "Boogaloo, you got to see this kid, Boogaloo Shrimp." I was already working with Shabba-Doo and Poppin' Taco on Lionel Richie's All Night Long tour, so we went in as a group, and what they did was they were pairing up each dancer together to see the chemistry, to see how we would play together and how we would read. And so I was already a dancer, and when you're talking about a film role, I think the thing that really helped was when they seen our chemistry, Shabba-Doo's chemistry with mine, and the fact that I could read. They were like, "Well, this guy, even though he couldn't, I didn't take acting lessons, They knew I could read. You know, I was literal enough to read, the script. So what they did to make it easier for me, instead of just writing, having us follow what was already on paper in the script, I noticed that they just let us be us, and they started actually writing dialogue around what we would normally say, and it made the scenes a lot easier. They would just kind of just tailor it, and I remember the pages changing like almost every day, and that's how I got the role of Turbo. I was already known, and I didn't really have to dance too much because they already knew I was a name in the industry, but they just wanted to see my chemistry with Shabba-Doo and see how well I could adapt to reading.
Now, the people that we see in Breaking, all the dancers in the different scenes, these were all friends of yours or friends of Shabba-Doo or friends of Bruno's that you brought into the film?
No, what happened was, like I said, back then a lot of dancers, because there was really not that much work in Hollywood, so whenever there was a job, the phone lines would open up and people would call other people and kind of like let them know what was going on to hopefully get them, a chance for a gig. And so while we were working as the Shabba-Doo crew, when we were on the film, the extra talent, the extra casting agency, I think they had a call out for specific criteria for people being extras in that movie. If anybody could dance, then I guess they would get a bump and be featured. So a lot of those dancers were dancers that were out at the time, and the extra agency just kind of just signed releases to them, for them to be in the background. Some I knew and some I didn't, because there was an interesting thing that was happening at the time. We were all trying to make a name for ourselves.
Right.
So in the street dance world, it's just like martial arts. We're very jealous of our friendships and our style, and everybody was still trying to be the best. So we kind of isolated ourselves away from other dancers, so that our styles would not, be watered down or looked at as something that everybody could do. We wanted to be like the elite force, and I'm really thankful. I really appreciate Shabba-Doo's work ethic, because he told us, he said, you know what, he goes, we're like the untouchables, and he goes, don't go out giving your stuff away for free, and don't mix with other dancers. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that's when I knew I had already formed my own style, and I didn't want to over exploit it.
Well, when you were making the film Breaking, when you were doing the shooting, did you feel that you were part of something special? Did you think this was going to last? This one film would be the icon of hip hop culture that it's become over the years? Well,
for me, I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand the title of hip hop culture, because there was, hip hop culture was associated with New York back then, and what we did, we were representing California, and what the producers and the directors and the powers that be, what they did, the worst thing they could have done. There were pros and cons about the movie Breaking. They titled it Breaking because that was the dance craze around the world, that people were just like, okay, I want to see some breakdancing. Just before the film, the movie Flashdance gave the world a buzz, about this new dance craze. The one scene that they used in Flashdance with the kids dancing in the park, gave Hollywood the green light to make a whole script about that dance style. And, of course, Jennifer Beals at the end of Flashdance, she had the stunt double Crazy Legs to do the famous backspin in Flashdance, which heightened the popularity of the art of street dancing. So when we were filming Breaking, we knew that we had the responsibility to show not only the caliber of dancing, that we've mastered like these certain styles, but to show how California dances, how we mixed